What's going on, guys? Steel here. I just want to do a video that's pretty much talks about kind of the basics of stropping in case anybody has been considering getting a strop or is stropping now, or hopefully it'll be helpful somewhat. It's pretty much just going to touch the basics. There's a whole ton you can delve into with stropping, just like stones, etc. So basically I'm just going to give you a few little things that have helped me when I'm stropping. Basically right now my process is, once I'm done with my stones, I switch to the balsa wood and strop with that, and then I go over to the leather. Now there's a couple things when you strop that you don't want to do, and I'll cover those first. When you strop, you don't want to do one side of your edge for too long. Especially when you have like diamonds or your strop is loaded, you can actually start to work up a small burr again if you go too long on one side. We're basically just trying to clean up our apex that much more, straighten it that much more, and too much and you can start to work up a burr on it again. So that's one thing. I generally tend to do like 4 passes aside and then switch, do another 4, and I'll really only do about 3 sets of 4, so each knife gets about 12 passes per side. I don't know what's going to work best for you guys. That's just what seems to work well for me. So once I'm done with the strops, the balsa ones, or once I'm done with the stones, I go to the balsa. Like I've talked about in the advantages of the kangaroo and the balsa, the balsa also is a little more aggressive, and again, I think some of it is subjective. For me, it seems like it cleans up any burr or anything, and then I switch over to the kangaroo, and that just really refines it. That really gives me that kind of razor's edge feel to it. A lot of times coming off the kangaroo, you can whittle hair going up it versus laying it onto the blade. Obviously that, takes a little practice, but stropping isn't really that difficult. The basics of it are not all that bad. So another thing you don't want to do is apply, you don't want to use an angle that's too tall, because obviously you just got done using a really fine stone. If you tilt your knife up too high and then draw it across, you're just going to round your edge off that you just worked hard to get. So if that does happen though, in all the times that I've rounded off my edge stropping, I can usually just go back to like the last stone I was on, give it a pass or two, and then you can go back to stropping again. It's kind of hard to really just destroy your edge with a strop. That's kind of the nice thing is, so when I'm stropping, a lot of times what I like to do, especially if it's flat ground, is just lay the spine on the blade. And obviously if you start off with a lower angle, you aren't going to, you're not going to make it too high. So you can start off low, and then if you're just kind of starting to get the feel of your knife, you can start to work up in increments until you start to feel like your edge is getting better. A lot of times I probably look like an idiot, but I'll sit there stropping and I'll pluck a hair out and then see if I can whittle hair, because coming off these strops, I find whittling hair is very easy to achieve as long as you're stropping correctly. So don't use too high of an angle. A lot of times if you sharpen your knife, say you didn't put a micro bevel on and you just put a 30-degree back bevel, or your secondary edge, if that is just like 30 degrees inclusive, then you're just going to try and match your bevel that you sharpened with. If you put a micro bevel on, obviously you're going to have to tilt it up just a little bit more. But a lot of times, you can see on this Tom Crine, if I show you, Tom left it with a very, very small secondary bevel. It is really, really, really short. That's not a bad thing. It's just that much metal I have to take off when I sharpen. So it's going to be harder to feel that bevel though, versus if you just look at the difference here. Oops. see if I can get it to focus at least. Alright, so if you look at the height difference in the secondary bevel on even just the military and the Tom Crine, you can see that it's quite a bit taller on the military, and that's going to be easier to feel when you go to lay it down on a strop. And another thing you don't want to do, this you really won't have the problem with balsa so much. Kind of one of the advantages I talked about over leather is that you tend not to, with leather you do not want to use too much pressure. Again, kangaroo is also pretty immune to this problem. If leather is real supple, when you push down with your edge, the leather will kind of wrap around your edge, so you don't want to use too much pressure. And light pressure, you know, just like on your stones. You don't use, you're not just digging your knife into it. So sometimes with like a tiny strop like this, I'll actually just hold it in my hand. Obviously be careful, you are, you know, that goes without saying, you're drawing your edge across. So when I'm stropping, I'm kind of feeling for a very smooth meat. You'll kind of feel, if you go too high, you're really going to be able to kind of more feel each of the little spots in the leather. And if you're too low, it seems stickier. You're feeling more of your shoulder dragging. So you want to kind of roughly guesstimate your edge, and you're just going to draw it back across, obviously. Trail leading, never into the strop. And yeah, so you just want to really try and find your angle, nice and light, smooth, you know, 2, 3, 4 passes, whatever. And you'll be able to kind of feel that difference. I would maybe even purposely lay your knife too flat, draw it across so you can kind of feel when it's more just your shoulder rubbing. It tends to be stickier, feels like it's catching more. When you're actually on your secondary bevel, to me it feels like it just kind of glides across. You're still going to be able to feel the little bits in the leather and stuff. You know, you're still going to have a little bit of a feel, you know. So hopefully that helps, guys. Sorry this is a little longer of a video, but hopefully it helps anybody. I felt like doing a video tonight, and yeah, so hopefully that helps anybody, and thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.